afternoon. My name is Jilly and I'm going to talk to you about another dream. So in this dream, I was in my childhood home and all of a sudden my son is waking me up and, middle of the night kind of thing, saying, hey, somebody's in the house. So I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, okay, well, let's go check it out. We go through and we kind of turn on all the lights as we walk through each room, and we didn't see anybody, but we were still a little nervous and on edge. So we went into my parents' room in this old childhood home and locked ourselves in there. And then, finally a few hours later when it's daylight, we open the door and we look in the hallway and there's these two little birds sitting out in the hallway, and it's like, oh, maybe that's what was making the noise, right? We're like, oh, they're so cute, but we should probably take them outside. So we try to catch them and they skitter away and just kind of poof, vanish into thin air. It's like, all right. So anyways, then the dream cuts to another scene, completely different and unrelated. So in this particular part of the dream, my son and I are driving to go camping, and it's to some big national park like Yellowstone or something really big. And on our way there, as we just get to the kind of entrance to this national park, still nowhere miles, 20, 30, 40 miles away from where we're camping, but to the entrance of the park, we notice a woman in a wheelchair on the side of the road, and we're like, oh, let's go see what's going on, all by herself. And so we go over there and she explains that, she got left behind accidentally when they all made, bathroom break. And so we talked for a few minutes, and I was like, well, where are you staying? And she explained she was staying at the group site, and there's a few, but I was like, okay, well, let's get you into the car. We will find your group site and, drop you off, make sure you connect with everybody you're supposed to be with. So we get her in the car and we're driving along, and it's probably, the loop for these campgrounds is maybe 20, 30 miles, something like that. It's big. It's not like it's just a, 3-mile loop. It's huge. And it starts to get kind of snowy on the roads, and my son is really kind of nervous and stressed out, and oddly enough, I felt really calm, cool, collected, in control, no worries whatsoever. And so we finally come to her site and find the group site with all of her people there, and they're hanging out and setting up camp. And so we drop her off and make sure she's okay, and then we get back in the car and start heading to our site. And when we finally get there, it's kind of dusk, I guess I would say. So it's starting to get dark. It's a little kind of warm and muggy, and people are still, there's a lot of people still milling about, either hanging out or making dinner, that kind of thing. And I noticed that the way the park is set up where we are, there's kind of it's like a grassy tiered area, but the last tier is kind of this drop off that it's on the edge of the cliff. It's almost like a viewpoint kind of thing. And there's not really any guardrail or fence or anything like that. So I'm trying to kind of herd kids and keep them away from the edge so they don't get too close. And the next thing I know, I kind of come to, and I am literally hanging off the edge of that cliff. I don't, in my mind at the time of the dream, I'm thinking that maybe I had fainted. I don't know exactly what, but all of a sudden the kids are fine, but I'm hanging off the edge of the cliff. So I'm kind of, struggling and scrabbling up the hillside, and, it's kind of, the rock is all falling away, and I've sort of got a grip, and I can pull myself up just a little bit to kind of peek over the edge where the grass is. And oddly enough, my my adopted mom and my half-sister, who are in no way related, are sitting and hanging out chit-chatting at one of the picnic tables. And I'm like, hey, I'm trying to yell at them, somebody come help me. And for the most part, nobody can hear me because, there's kids playing and people, and they're all far away, and nobody's really paying any attention to me. They can't hear me, and they certainly don't see me because I'm mostly off, hanging on the edge of this cliff. So eventually I yell loud enough that my adoptive mom looks over at me and ever so slightly is like, oh, you'll be fine, and kind of just dismisses me. And they resume talking, and I'm just like, okay, now I'm pissed. I am just spitting fire. And I'm like, okay, so I take a big deep breath and, gather my strength, and I literally just pull myself up and onto the grass. And I'm just like, I'm pissed, but I'm also just physically and mentally exhausted. I'm just so worn out and bedraggled, and for some reason, I don't really know why, but I'm all like muddy and torn up and dirty and exhausted, and I don't even know what all. It's like I look like something the cat drug in, literally. And I'm laying there in the grass, kind of close to the edge still, just trying to catch my breath. And this sweet, beautiful man who, in my brain during this dream, kind of thought maybe he was like an EMT or something, but hell, could have been an angel for all I know, came over and offered me a hand up. And I was like, thank you. And kind of, he walked me over and sat me down on this rock, and I'm just kind of sitting there panting and trying to just catch my breath and slow down. And I look down, and I'm wearing like black nylons and a dress, and like kind of dressed up for some odd reason. But of course, it's all like shredded up and dirty and muddy and gross. And now that I'm up and in a safe place, now there's a bunch of like looky-loos, like, oh, what's going on? And so he's like, I won't say mad, but he's very like stoic and standoffish, and like, everybody back up, stay back, and just, let her get her air. And so he kind of gets everybody to back up a little bit, and then helps me to just peel off these nylons that are just shredded up. And underneath, my legs are all kind of like mottled and bruised and ripped up and very road rash kind of thing. And he stands me up, and he's like, okay, over there, just a few hundred feet, there's a lodge. Are you okay to walk there? And I says, yeah, I can totally do that. And so I walk myself over to this lodge. And when I get inside the lodge, and he explained that there was clothes in there, so I could go change. And I'm like, oh, that's fantastic, because I, feel absolutely disgusting and exhausted and tired right now, and don't even want to think. And I get in there, and there's this fantastic closet full of beautiful, beautiful clothes. Some of them are, really like fancy and high end and way more expensive than something I would normally buy, but they're all my style and they're all my size. I'm like, wow, this is great. Look at all these. And then I looked at it myself, and I'm like, ugh, but I can't wear any of these. I'm all gross and muddy, and I don't want to get them all dirty and disgusting. And shortly after that thought, I'm just about in tears because I don't really know what to do. The EMT guy comes back in, and he's like, well, did you pick something out? And I says, well, no, because I don't want to get it all dirty and gross. He goes, no, there's a nice shower area over here with big fluffy towels and everything you could need. He goes, you go in there and you wash and relax and just get comfortable, and then you come out and pick whatever clothes you want. And I'm like, well, yeah, but these are all really fancy. And he's like, no, you don't understand. These are all for you. All these clothes, the shower, the lodge, everything's for you. you can use any of it. You can pick out what you want. You can keep what you want. And I was just like, what? I was so blown away. I mean, I'm still, you know, kind of barely standing and shaky and exhausted. And, you know, feeling dirty and gross and disgusting and ripped up and all that. And just the thought that there would be this amazing place with all this amazing stuff just for me is like blowing my mind. So anyways, at that point, I woke up and felt so overwhelmingly loved and thankful and grateful and appreciative that there was, you know, not only provisions for me, but like the best, nicest, coolest provisions, like straight out of my dreams, right? Which honestly it was, because it was a dream. But I still had that same sense of awe and wonderment that somebody would do something so nice for me. And yeah, it just totally blew me away. And it was a super cool dream. It started out really crappy, or at least there was a part in there where it was really awful. And then when I woke up, I felt amazed, and I was so thankful that, you know, I hadn't fallen off the cliff and that I was able to go and put myself back together again. And yeah, anyways, it was a really great dream. And I don't know if that means anything to anybody. Hopefully, you know, if you guys feel free to comment, and it can be comments like either that resonated with you, or this is what I think your dream meant, or yeah, any kind of comments. I love them all. But if you want to give me your take on it or what it meant to you, like it might mean something different to you than it does to me. But I'd love to hear from anybody. Or, you know, I think, and I've talked about this in other videos, that the reason I've been journaling all these dreams is that I felt guided by spirit to get them out there. So I'm hoping that in some way, somehow, these dreams help people. I don't know exactly how, but hopefully they will. And if it does, please let me know. And otherwise, to talk about my joy for today, the first thing I want to talk about is my Rover guy. He's my dog sitter, which is why you don't hear puppy snuffling noises all over in the background today. Because he's having a play date with his dog sitter, and he loves it. He gets together with all these other dogs, and they go to parks, and they go, you know, on the ferry, and they just go all over the place. He has a great time. So I'm so thankful that I found a fantastic dog sitter that takes such good care of my dog. They're bestest buddies. You know, they hang out together, and he loves it. I love my Frenchie, but he's, you know, stuck in a condo, so I don't have a yard to run around in, but my Rover guy does, which I'm so thankful for. The other thing I'm thankful for is my good friend who took me out today to go shopping, and we had lunch, and it was so nice to get out of the condo and do something a little bit social. You know, obviously there was social distancing and all that kind of stuff, but it still felt nice to get out and be around other people. The third thing I am extremely thankful for is, you know, just being able to finally get out a little bit, because we're in phase 2 or something, I don't know. So it's nice to feel like we can actually leave the house a little bit here and there and get together with a couple people here and there and have a little bit of social interaction. I know it's been a drastic change for a lot of us. And while I love my, you know, time to myself, to meditate, to read, to snuggle with the dog, there's a number of things, but it is nice to be able to socialize and interact with other people a little bit. So anyways, that's what I'm thankful for. And I send all of my love and prayers out to anybody that's been affected by all the big wildfires that have been going on in the western half of the states for this summer. The smoke is still mostly outside, which is why we don't really go outside a whole lot, because the air quality is terrible right now. It did actually rain a little bit, which is great, because if nothing else, it'll clean the air a little, but hopefully it'll be enough to start putting out some of those fires. And I appreciate all the hard work from all of the various firefighters that are trying to put out any of those fires, or at least control them. I know that's a seriously tough job, and I just pray that you all stay safe. Anyways, love you all. Have a fantastic day whenever you see this, and I will catch you next time, okay? Thanks.